Guys, how many of you have seen this one online? Premium Times have come to report where some senators that attended the public and ethics and public petition right committee, those that Akpabio claimed that endorsed and signed for the suspension of Natasha. Many have come out to say that they didn't endorse, they didn't sign, that Akpabio forged. You understand? Now, guess what? Normally, when you attend, right, you sign in attendance. Now, whatever that is going to be discussed will be discussed. And after that discussion, whatever I discuss, some will sign for and some will sign against. Do you understand? So in that meeting, those that attended, majority signed against. Because they could not get the numbers they want, Akpabio and Nada, Senator Nada, that is the senator from Mendoza that shared the panel, okay, they now took the attendance register to go and use it to say that these are the people that endorse. Guess what? This senator said they did not also allow them to see the final report that was on that list. They were shocked to hear it. Despite that, guys, are you aware when Akpabio was saying those that support that Senator Natasha should be suspended? Say yes. Few say yes. Those say name. Majority say name. Akpabio, the lawless criminal, he went against the nay and took yes. I'm going to show you the video. I'm not making it up. But firstly, we are going to read together on Premium Times now. Okay, but please, before we read this, ensure you like this video. Share it up to the guests to Akpabio. I'm not joking without saying it to say, indeed, Nigeria is finished. Do you remember one video I posted here where Rufai said that they heard something about those that attended? That's the thing I'm bringing that. I'm also going to add a video later. I pray I see that video. Yes, some of the senators were supposed to be part of the panel went to see Natasha. They said they fixed 11 for the hearing, but without their consent, they now took it to 60. Do you understand? What I want to discuss was discussed, and we are part of the panel. We have president, criminal, senior president, criminal. You expect the country to move forward. Please just like this video, share it. Now let's read rather the report from Premium Times. After that, we're going to be, hearing what happened on the Senate floor on the day of the suspension. Watch the video. Thanks and God bless you. According to Premium Times, exclusive, fresh controversy trace Natasha Akpabio suspension as Senator disowned committee report. The controversy surrounding the suspension of the Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpabio has deepened with allegations that the signatures attached to the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privilege and Public Petitions report were not for the endorsement of the suspension, but rather attendance record. This led to confusions at a closed-door Senate meeting as some senators reportedly claimed that their signatures were misrepresented to give the impression of unanimous support for the suspension, attendance or endorsement. On 5th March, members of the Senate Committee on Ethics convened to investigate the seat rearrangement dispute between Ms. Akpabio and the Senate President Godswill Akpabio. On that day, senators who attended the committee signed the attendance register, while others abstained. Signed the attendance register, while others abstained. Based on the Senate rules, all senators can attend committee meeting, whether or not they are members of such a committee. Also, all the senators who attended a committee meeting can sign the attendance register. On 6th March, when the Ethics Committee Chairman Nada Immanuel presented his report on the floor of the Senate, the attendance sheet signature were included, creating the impression that all signatories endorsed the committee's recommendation. One of the key recommendations in the report was to prohibit Ms. Akpabio from identifying herself as a senator, both locally and internationally, for 6 months. She would be on suspension. Some senators who signed the attendance register have now reportedly distanced themselves from the report with the argument that they were not allowed to review the final draft before it was presented on the floor of the Senate. A senator who attended the meeting where the matter was discussed but requested not to be named told Premium Times that the proper process should have been for the committee members to examine and approve the report before presentations. However, members were unaware of its content until it was publicly read on the Senate floor. On 6 March, the Senate voted to suspend Mrs. Akpabio for 6 months following the Ethics Committee recommendation. The decision was based on the Ethics Committee report, which indicted her for alleged misconduct during a plenary session on 20 February and her refusal to adhere to the chamber's sitting arrangement. The Senate also imposed several penalties on her, including the withdrawal of all her security aid and the closure of her office within the National Assembly. All Senate properties in her possession would be handed over to the clerk to the National Assembly. At the same time, she was also prohibited from entering the National Assembly premises during the suspension period. Her salary and allowances were also suspended for the duration of the suspension, just as she was banned from representing herself as a senator both locally and internationally. However, the Senate left a door open for the suspension to be lifted if Ms. Akpabio submit a written apology, which the leadership may consider before the full 6 months period expire. On Tuesday, Ms. Akpabio took her case to the Inter-Parliamentary Union, seeking international intervention in her suspension from the Senate.
Those in support of prayer to say aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. For the Senate to consider lifting this suspension or reducing the tenure of the suspension, Senator Natasha Impeachment shall submit a written apology to the Senate before any reconsideration by the Nigerian Senate. Those in support of prayer to say aye. Those against say nay. I don't think, Senator Baribe, as a landlord of the Senate, I don't think they heard what I read. So let me just repeat for clarity that for the Senate to consider lifting the suspension or reducing the tenure of the suspension, Senator Natasha Impeachment shall submit a written apology to the Senate before the reconsideration by the Senate. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. Hey. Okay, because I thought I heard 50-50. Let me make it 40-60. That for the Senate to consider lifting the suspension or reducing the tenure of suspension, Senator Natasha Impeachment shall submit a written apology to the Senate before any reconsideration of this case by the Senate. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The ayes have it.
Have the right to hold the executive accountable. Absolutely. I mean, this is exactly the thing that played out with Senator Natasha Akpabio, challenging her rights and privileges to speak, and her misconduct was what led to her suspension. Are we a democracy? Suspension. Is this a real country? How can you have a suspension when you're only trying to exercise your democratic right or whatever it is? If she was allowed to speak, because I heard in her conversation she was saying, order 10 on privileges, there's nowhere it says you cannot, speak on that order if you're on your seat. She had that claim in the rule book. Absolutely, it's not there. But this is the point I'm making with this video. Is this a democracy, Ayo? Is this a democracy, Rufai? Well, in the meantime, human rights lawyer Femi Falana has criticized the Senate for suspending Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. He described the suspension as an abuse of power. Falana, in a 13-point statement on Monday, warned that suspending legislators at the whims and caprices of leaders of the federal and state legislative houses must not be allowed to continue in Nigeria. The SAN added that courts have reinstated all lawmakers previously suspended by the national or state legislatures, pointing out past court rulings, including by the Court of Appeal, as proof that Akpoti-Uduaghan's suspension could be overturned. I'll read points 12 and 13 of Falana's statement. Femi Falana's statement reads in part, in view of the definitive pronouncements of several High Court and the Court of Appeal on illegality of the suspension of elected members of legislative houses in Nigeria, the suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is the height of legislative recklessness. The illegal suspension should be lifted without any further delay, since the Federal High Court had restrained the Senate Ethics Committee from hearing the complaint against the embattled senator pending the determination of the motion on notice. The Senate ought to have stayed action in accordance with the rule of law. 13. Finally, the official impunity of suspending legislators at whims and caprices of leaders of the federal and state legislative houses must not be allowed to continue in Nigeria. I mean, that is the actual point at this moment. Yeah, go ahead.
So a lawyer has come out, since they say that in the same vein, it's interesting that the Senate, which must be aware of previous cases and precedents, not just at National Assembly, but even State House of Assembly level, as cited by Mr. Femi Falana, ought to have known the remits of their powers, and that they didn't have the powers to actually suspend her for 6 months and withhold her pay, withhold the pay of her aides, withdraw her security outfit. It sparks more than meets the eye. Mm-hmm. There was a senator, OG, that slapped another senator in the House. They gave him 2 weeks suspension.
Can you imagine?
Can you compare that to what Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan has done? No. So it's a lot of things, and that's why it's embarrassing for Nigeria when these international newspapers then begin to prey on news here,
yes,
and begin to talk about how badly run our Senate is. Yeah. And that's why people have been talking about the institution.
Right.
Forget about the individuals or personalities. It's about the institution. We must protect the institution of the Senate, and it must be seen to be fair and balanced.
For me, it's the speedy nature in which they submitted her suspension. That was it for me. What was the hurry for? What was the rush? She didn't even get to be happening.
They don't care.
That's the point.
And that's it. What's the point? They don't care. Rather than focus on their own Falana Gbotire, they are so quick to set up this. Their kangaroo court is proven now. You forget that the chairman of the ethics committee is a lawyer. Anyway, there are stories about him being debarred at some point in New York. And they cleverly pushed the case forward. A lot of people are looking at that process again and saying, why quickly push the case forward when there's a court order? They confirmed that the court order was served. They violated the court order. You went ahead, you suspended the woman. You didn't just only suspend her, you took away her privileges.
Yes.
You took away her security. You took away everything from her because you want to prove a point. All we are saying on this matter is investigate. Nobody's saying Natasha is right or wrong. But once they hear investigate, their heart starts to do jim. Please, in a case where we find out the truth of this matter, we will be the ones also to come and report it. We are not taking any sides in this. All we just want, there should be an investigation, independent investigation that will get to the root of the matter. But I am not surprised. You know why I'm not surprised? This is the same Senate OG that added extra 170 billion. I mean, this same National Assembly that added extra 170 billion to their 344 billion in their budgets. And the senator that will say he's going back to do constituency projects, look at the road around his vicinity. I'm not saying he can do it all. So it has shown that these people are disconnected from the people, and that's why I don't see the need for these constituency projects. It's just an easy campaign tool for them, because when they come back, they claim they are the ones doing the project. The other day, a senator came to brag here about the constituency project. I just asked him 2 technical questions at the field. I said, Who put down most of the money? Say over 80% was concentrating project fund. He was starting his project like himself.
Yeah.
I said, where did you raise the remaining 20%? He couldn't talk. I said, what was the total amount you spent on this project? He said he couldn't talk. So this is how these people take us for a ride. Let's move ahead, Audrey.
All right, this is it. I mean, we really have to speak on this, but Femi Falana has spoken.
The heightenment of all of us as a country. And we fail to realize that. I've been able to chart the narrative for you. People with all sorts of unquestionable character get to the top. It's as if it's the criminals that get through the cracks in this country. And that's the system we've built. A woman said she was sexually harassed. Investigate is a problem.
Investigate. That's all we are calling for. Investigation.
If
finish.
In a point when Natasha can't prove her point,
yes, I
would be the one to come on and abuse the hell out of Natasha for wasting her time. If she can't prove her point. Like Voltaire says, I will do everything to make you. I might disagree with you, but I will do everything to make you have your say. Investigate. They tried to prevent her. They quickly suspended her. There's another scandal brewing that I'm hearing. It will come out soon. As regards even the people that signed that attendance. It will come out soon. I hear some senators are already disgruntled.
Yes.
It will come out soon.
All right, still on.
Then we now had the cases of somebody that was debarred many years ago in New York, even leading the ethics committee, and everything that transpired in that system. Then now to move it further, like I said last week, it's women that we always